AI is no different from other technologies. It'll pose new challenges that humanity has to collectively be aware of and solve. It'll also create opportunities we've never thought of.
Hi, I'm Ian Brimmer, and welcome to the GZERO World Podcast. I'm host of the weekly show GZERO World on Facebook Watch. In this podcast, we share extended versions of the big interviews from that show. This week, I sit down with Fei-Fei Li. She's chief scientist of AI at Google Cloud and director of the Stanford Artificial Intelligence Lab. She's a staunch advocate for bringing more women, especially women of color, to the table in the tech world. Today, I'll ask her about the future of artificial intelligence, how countries should deal with the issue, and whether machines are really going to take over the world. Let's get to it.
The GZERO World is brought to you by our founding sponsor, First Republic. First Republic, a private bank and wealth management company. Imagine a bank without teller lines, where your banker knows your name and its most prized currency is extraordinary client service. Hear directly from First Republic's clients by visiting firstrepublic.com.
I'm deep in the bowels of the Googleplex here in the Bay Area with Fei-Fei Li, the director of the Stanford AI Lab and professor of computer science there, but also now chief scientist of AI and machine learning here at Google Cloud. Fei-Fei, great to be with you.
Great to be here, Ian.
How much of the game changer that Elon Musk and Stephen Hawking talk about AI is real right now in your view?
AI is a deeply impactful technology. I think before Elon Musk and Steve Hawkins talking about AI, a lot of technologists and thought leaders have recognized the importance of AI as a technology. It's a new way of thinking about computing, and it has the transformative power to change many different areas of our industry. And so I deeply believe the importance and impactfulness of AI.
We talk about a lot of these technological changes as hockey sticks. They come along for a long time. We know that they have potentiality, and then all of a sudden they explode. You're in the middle of this in a way that almost no one else is. Where are we right now on the hockey stick?
AI as a field, Ian, is actually very young. It's only 60 years old. If you think about some deeper and more classic fields of human science and technology like physics, chemistry, they have a way longer history. So first of all, it's not surprising that AI seems to be a new thing, new kid around the block. Second of all, after 60 years of accumulation in terms of basic science research and research and development in the industry, we are genuinely seeing the first wave of AI explosion.
The media focuses on the big wins of computers against human beings, right? It's when Kasparov goes down in a chess match. It's when the world Go master suddenly says, I don't know how they figured it out. But are those the real stepping stones that we should be focused on, or are there other things that aren't as sexy but are much more society changing?
If you look at the past 20 years, I think the bigger technological impact and change came from the internet. So I think there is a little bit of a mismatch between a single game of machine versus man versus the real deep transformations technology or AI brings to the world. So personally, I think AI is already making deep transformations. It's impacting the way people are thinking about communications. It's impacting the way people are thinking about transportation, data analytics, healthcare. These are the deeper changes that I feel inspired by.
So we know one of the things that people have been talking about the most, and sometimes in the most dystopian ways, is about how AI is going to destroy the workforce. Now, rather than me asking you that question, Let me ask you something a little different, that, you're a mother in addition to being the chief scientist here. If you think about children and what skills we need to give them, how they need to think about tooling themselves to be more effective for a AI-empowered workplace, what is that? What do we need to be doing now? How do we think differently in that environment?
So I get this question a lot.
Well, not from me, so...
Yeah, I guess I'm a mother and an educator and I'm an AI technologist. So a lot of friends ask me how to prepare the next generation. I just think personally for myself as a parent, the foremost important thing is actually bringing up my children to be the best human beings they can be. And this becomes particularly philosophically important in the age of machines. Technology, I really believe technology is here to make us live better and be better humans. So there is no independent goal or value of machines. They should serve the human values. And from that point of view, that humans, throughout our civilization, we never cease to innovate better technology to better our lives.
You think about technology as serving human beings, and there are an awful lot of human beings in this country right now that would argue that technology has not served them very well. Now, maybe that's about values, the values of the people that are employing that technology. We talk about, whether it's fake news or media complex, propaganda, what have you. Now, if I think about the companies and the private sector actors that are driving AI in the United States today, and in some other countries too, fiduciary responsibility, short-term profitability, male-dominated culture. I wonder how does that comport? How does that make you feel about the kind of values that we're likely to see employed as we develop AI?
Yeah, good question, Ian. So I do believe our technology reflects our collective value. So some of these issues you bring up will deeply impact our technology. It's not just AI being the currently most salient technology. So as a technologist myself, I want to advocate human-centered technology, human-centered AI, and this is really important. For example, whenever we talk about automation, the word automation almost automatically equals to replacement, and that's just not the case. Automation should be augmentation for human capability, should be interaction, should be collaboration, should be assistive. So this is the kind of technology that is human-centered, is focusing on increasing the productivity, safety, quality of life of humans.
The headlines around AI seem to be either about I'm going to make a lot of money or it's about the robots are taking over. I don't necessarily see the direction you're talking about.
I definitely wish that rational as well as well-rounded discussion would happen. I'm also lucky to be surrounded by people who care. My colleagues at Stanford and Google are developing technologies that are trying to reflect the kind of values, right? We have colleagues developing AI for education models, machine learning for sustainability applications, healthcare, assistive robotics. We have colleagues looking at fairness in machine learning. So I am surrounded by those people, but outside of my immediate colleagues at large, I would wish for a more engaged conversation on these topics.
Do we think that the changes that are coming in AI are going to lead to more structural inequality in the world today?
That's a great question, Ian. Technology advances have in history cause pain in human society, and you know better than I do the different eras, right? From steam engine to electricity to cars to computers. all these technologies have caused pain, and they also improved human lives. Even 50 years ago, mortality rate for mother and newborn babies are way higher than today. And look at the access to clean water, to electricity. So it always comes with these two sides. So I think AI is no different from other technology from that point of view, is that it'll pose new challenges that humanity has to collectively be aware of and solve. It'll also create opportunities we've never thought of.
Some have a view that technology is necessarily neutral and what you put in determines what you get out. It's a multiplier. And others would say that, well, it depends on what kind of technology, how it's structured, and that will incent certain types of behaviors. We already talked about the values that come in, but even leaving aside the values, just certain types of code, a certain type of filter, a system that says, I want you to spend money or I want you to engage in this narrow way. And I wonder if you think that society is ready for these changes.
AI is a technology that is developing rapidly. So how ready are we? It's a question mark we all have. I don't have a very informed answer. As an educator, I try my best to inform as many students as possible to prepare us for this by both building more better technology as well as understanding this technology. I will ask you, were we ready for nuclear technology?
I think the answer is pretty clearly no. And that's kind of what I'm getting at, is that when political systems are fragmented, so we're entering a world right now where the United States is not doing a lot of global leadership, but companies, private sector companies, not really aligned with the government, including the one right here, are making these extraordinary breakthroughs. Not sure how that aligns. And as someone who comes out of the academy, a scientist making these decisions, Oppenheimer was clearly very conflicted about the nuclear bomb, and in part it's because the Americans were fighting the Nazis that he thought this was a great thing. But the Americans aren't fighting the Nazis right now, and so I wonder how Fei-Fei thinks about whether or not this is a technology you think should be, sort of embraced and pushed as fast as humanly possible, or if actually there are real dangers around doing that.
Right, so I definitely don't think any technology should be pushed as fast as possible without thinking and without care. I've been advocating human-centered AI in terms of thinking about the type of AI technology we develop as well as AI's human impact.
So a couple other things I want to ask you about. One is, of course, the Americans are not the only game in town when it comes to AI. There are other countries working on this, the Brits, the Canadians, but particularly the Chinese. And the Chinese government has decided that this is a moment for them to be all in state-wise on AI, massive state 2030 plan for developing AI. Were you surprised at the level of ambition? Are you impressed by what the Chinese are doing right now in the field compared to what you see in the United States?
I'm definitely impressed. So as you know, natively, I grew up in China and got my education in America. So when I look at what my friends and colleagues are doing in China, I'm very impressed by the passion and aspiration in AI. I have many students who have come from China to study AI overseas. In international AI academic conference, we see a lot of great Chinese authors and institutions publishing good work. So I'm very impressed. I'm also very impressed by the government level support. I think I'm not that surprised because I think there's a great drive in China for the past several decades now to make technological advances. It's a country that is known to embrace technology. Look at what China did for mobile technology, for social media, for internet technology. it's really quite phenomenal.
Are there areas right now of AI where you would say definitively the Chinese are in the lead or are likely to be in the lead going forward?
I think China has room to grow in basic science research in AI. I think what China is getting really good at is where there's good use case scenario. For example, China social media like WeChat or Alibaba's.
Because it's more all immersive, they've got more data,
exactly,
more people.
Exactly. So those areas, I think China is making phenomenal progress.
So you made one comment that I thought was really interesting when you said we really need to get away from the hoodie culture, even though you have kind of a reverse, very dressy hoodie going on there today. What did you mean by that?
So this has come out of an interview that Melinda Gates and I did a few months ago. We both have come together last year to really start to worry about the lack of diversity as we're going through yet another great technological transformation and renaissance. And what I mean is that we thoroughly lack the diversity that represents humanity in the development of technology. We lack that in the first phase of computing, and we're lacking that in the development of AI. And AI technology is so critical for all of us. We talked a lot about values. We talked a lot about AI-empowered products and services that would serve people. And we talk about policy. We talk about impact from geopolitical to job labor market. All this, we need the balanced voice. We need all of the voices to be at the table.
Okay, final question for you, and it's kind of a big one, but it's the one that you hear so much about, which is the people that are talking the most dire expressions about the future of AI warn that this is the end of humanity, right? And I have to ask, you know, when you really are working cutting edge in this field, how much do you worry that you are actually opening Pandora's box?
So, Ian, I have a 22-month-old child, and I look at her development, like her visual ability, her manipulation, her navigation, her speech, her emotional communication with me. And I look at today's AI algorithms. I think we are very, very, very far from creating a machine that can have, can come that close to that capability. So from a technology point of view, I think we have a long way to go to make machines that are in the realm of Hollywood's imagination. But having said that, I think the way I think about Pandora box is that whether it's AI or any technology, it could become a Pandora box. Humans have this capability of making mistakes with technology and or anything else, and we should be on the guard. We should think carefully, and we should be thoughtful. We should engage government policymakers, thought leaders. We should be doing all that.
Fei-Fei Li, not about to be replaced by a robot.
Thank you, Ian. You too. You won't be replaced by a robot.
The GZERO World is brought to you by our founding sponsor, First Republic. First Republic, a private bank and wealth management company. Imagine a bank without teller lines, where your banker knows your name and its most prized currency is extraordinary client service. Hear directly from First Republic's clients by visiting firstrepublic.com.
You're listening to the GZERO World with Ian Bremmer podcast, your weekly geopolitical deep dive into the world's biggest news stories, featuring in-depth conversations with global leaders and newsmakers. To get more of GZERO's insights on global politics every morning, sign up for our free newsletter, GZERO Daily, at gzeromedia.com.